Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum. It continues to be in a fairly precarious position. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to also check out the sale on the premium list that will be ending at the end of the week. So lock in the low rate. You can find a link to that in the description below if you want to know how I'm navigating these markets. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, with Ethereum, I have very high hopes for Ethereum for the duration of the cycle. My only hesitancy in the short term is Bitcoin's position. Okay, now I just want to show why I'm cautious. I'm still cautious about getting overly bullish on Ethereum in the short term. Now, the first thing we'll do is, if you're new, remember we've looked at this data before. The 90-day ROI, the average 90-day ROI on Ethereum, if buying it in June, July, and August, doesn't tend to be that great. I mean, it tends to be average around one. Some years it goes up, some years it goes down. But on average, if you're buying in June and selling in September, then your average ROI, June, July, and August, selling in September, October, November, tends to be the worst time of the year to buy Ethereum. Now, again, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I really am bullish on Ethereum. But in order, as we've seen before, Ethereum tends to do really well, at the very end of the year, maybe going into the beginning of the next year, sometimes extending into Q2. But we've seen it calm down many, many times in the summer. Okay, so again, I'm bullish on Ethereum, but as I said a month ago, we're likely in for a cool off phase in the market for a little while. And when I said that a month or two ago, when I said, hey, look, this data suggests that going into the summer things could calm down, it obviously begs the question, well, what about these updates coming out? Is that not going to help with the price? I don't think it necessarily has to in the short term. Okay, I don't think it necessarily has to, and again, you can see it so far as we're continuing to push through June. We're still so far away from an all-time high, right? We're still nowhere even close to an all-time high, and I don't think we're going to get to an all-time high immediately. Okay, I just don't. I think we need time to consolidate. If you think about it, the price of Ethereum went from like $100 to $4,400 in a relatively short period of time. Right now, we're trading at like $2,400 or something like that. I think that people underestimate how long the market will likely need to consolidate before it can really trend higher. I know a lot of people are saying, all right, Ethereum's going to go to a new all-time high really, really soon because of these upgrades. And we did a whole video on what is Ethereum. We talked about this fundamental analysis. So believe me, I know what it is. I try to keep those videos on the fundamental analysis, uh, you know, just focused on the fundamental analysis, and then the videos where we talk about the price. I think that a lot of times it's hard to really distinguish between, okay, what's priced in, what's not. I've just seen so many projects with updates come out, and even with Ethereum in the past, and it's like, just because this happens does not mean it's going to immediately pump the price. Okay, so I want people to manage their expectations and recognize, well, in the grand scheme of this cycle, which I do think will extend past 2021, well, in the grand scheme of this cycle, I think we have a long way to go, but I would not necessarily expect Ethereum to have a crazy run next week or the week after. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to go back and look at Ethereum's current price, because right now Ethereum's trading at around 25, 27. The concerning thing, the slightly concerning thing, is Bitcoin had a relatively good day. Okay, Bitcoin had a relatively good day. And you might say, well, Ben, why is that concerning? Well, in and of itself, that's not concerning. Bitcoin have a good day is usually good for Ethereum. I think the reason why it's slightly concerning is because Bitcoin on the day yesterday went up about 12%, 12% or so. The valuation of Ethereum, though, on the same day only went up about 4%. So it seems to me that there is a hint of weakness there. Okay? Now, the ebb and flow of the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is something we followed for a long time. Okay, the ebb and flow. We go, the momentum goes to Bitcoin, the momentum goes back to Ethereum, and it just sort of ebbs and flows back and forth. And we've seen that play out fairly systematically since December of 2019, right? We've seen it come down here. It came up here to begin with, and then it just sort of continues to make these moves. Sometimes between like the middle point, sometimes it goes to the high point, and we've been more or less in this channel for a long time. Now, a couple months ago, we talked about, okay, well, Bitcoin, it provides the earthquake, okay? And then what leads later is this Ethereum tsunami that sort of just sweeps through. And we speculated that we could, in fact, break out of this channel. And we have. And what's further interesting is we had a pullback, and it basically took us to the top of the channel here. Now, where Bitcoin currently is, we noticed that in the last day, Bitcoin saw a pretty nice move to the upside, but Ethereum didn't really do much, relatively speaking. I mean, the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation on the week is down 9%. So where I'm standing at right now, I'm just wondering, well, if Bitcoin has another pullback, are we entering the phase where, Bitcoin might pump some, and a lot of altcoins don't really pump with it, and not that Ethereum's an altcoin, and then if it pulls back, then the entire market bleeds, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, well, it didn't go up with Bitcoin, so why should it go down even more? This is my current, you know, reservation. Okay, it's my current reservation. The other reservation that I have in the immediate short term is Bitcoin, again, is below the 20-week SMA. I mean, it is below it, and I mean, it's not just slightly below it, it's below it by about 25% or so. So it's fairly far down below it. On the other hand, Ethereum is still well above its 20-week SMA. Now, I think the key thing to look for here is, well, does this make sense? Have we ever seen Bitcoin be below the 20-week SMA, but Ethereum be above it? Well, I think the last time we can go look at, there was a period here in January where we moved up, but then we had the March capitulation. But for Bitcoin and Ethereum, they essentially had the capitulation, back to back. Okay, I mean, Ethereum had this capitulation on this week of March 9th and just fell through, and then again Bitcoin, it was slightly below, and then the following week you can see it just had a massive capitulation down. So very similar there. In 2019, you can see that Bitcoin fell below its 20-week SMA in September. Okay, in September. Now, where was Ethereum in September of 2019? Well, you can see that Ethereum didn't even make it above the 20-week SMA at that time. So it was above it earlier in the year, in July, but it actually got below it by July, and Bitcoin didn't get below it until September. So sort of a different phase where Bitcoin was super bullish for a long time, and this was when Bitcoin was super bullish and a lot of altcoins didn't really keep up in general. And then this sort of slow sideways bleed, sideways but slightly down, caused a lot of altcoins to become incredibly bearish. And and for instance, Ethereum broke below the 20-week SMA by late July when Bitcoin was still well above its 20-week SMA. The other main time I think we should look at, there's a couple more times, before we look at the one in 2018, let's go back and look at the one in 2015. So here was an example of Bitcoin falling below its 20-week moving average in August of 2015. This was when Ethereum launched. Okay, this is when essentially Ethereum launched, and you can see that Ethereum fell with it. Now, the best data point we probably have is this one. This is the only time that I've been able to find where we had a crazy trend where Bitcoin was well above the 20-week, and then Bitcoin fell below it in late January. Okay, so Bitcoin fell below the 20-week in late January of 2018. Ethereum didn't fall below it until early March. okay, until early March. So you can see that Ethereum held on longer than Bitcoin. Now, I do not think Ethereum is about to have an 80 or 90% bleed. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that if Bitcoin, because we're noticing Ethereum showing a hint of weakness as Bitcoin rallied today, and Ethereum only moved up 4%, because it's showing a hint of weakness, it means that, well, if Bitcoin does have another pullback, let's say Bitcoin does pull back to, I don't know, like 30K or something, if it does, which again, certainly a good chance we don't, but if we do, then I'm going to start to wonder if this can be held on to. Okay? Remember, even last cycle, even the last market cycle, there was a period where Ethereum did fall below the 20-week estimate, and we stayed below it from October until January, October of 2016 until January 2017. So we know that it's certainly possible for Ethereum to go below the 20-week. It's not like it has to stay above it. So what I think right now is the best chance for the best chance for Ethereum to hold on to this is if Bitcoin stops this nonsense of having these crazy wicks to the downside, or even a sustained downtrend, which it's been in for a while. There's a lot of people that like to schedule the Forbes interview the minute a short term uptrend starts. But as far as I can tell, I mean, even if you want to go by like traditional TA, we're still in a downtrend. Even if you just look over, say, like the last couple of weeks or so, I mean, we're still technically in a downtrend. And so until if the path that Bitcoin takes is where it's still in a downtrend and it's unable to break this, then it does make me somewhat cautious on the short-term implications of what that would mean for Ethereum. Because, like, imagine if Bitcoin does come back down, then it's going to probably hit Ethereum at least back down to the 20-week estimate, at least back down there. You couple that with the fact that Ethereum doesn't tend to do that well in June, July, and August, meaning the 90-day ROI doesn't tend to be that great 90 days later. You couple that with the fact that Bitcoin's technically still in a downtrend, and that's just why I'm cautious at the moment. It doesn't mean that Ethereum can't pick back up a little bit later on, but I just want to stress that there is a high probability that it takes us more than a couple weeks for Ethereum to really start to push back up. So I think the best mindset right now is to be pleasantly surprised if it is putting in new all-time highs in a couple weeks, but I would expect it not to. So if it does, be pleasantly surprised. If it doesn't, I would say that's actually the path of least resistance would be for it to either move sideways for a while, or if Bitcoin shows weakness, then obviously that will affect Ethereum, and we've seen that today with Bitcoin moving up and Ethereum not really keeping pace with it. So that's where we currently are with the valuation of Ethereum. I think we are in we remain in a precarious position with Bitcoin below the 20-week SMA. Okay, the main thing that would make me super bullish on Ethereum putting in, crazy new all-time highs would be seeing Bitcoin get back above its 20-week SMA and then holding it as support. And we still have, a long way to go to get to that point. If Bitcoin moves up in the short term, then I would expect Ethereum can be dragged up. I would expect Ethereum to be dragged up with it. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to check out the sale on the premium list. It'll run through the end of the week, so lock in the lower rate. You can find a link to that in the description below. Thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely subscribe. Click the bell icon to turn on your notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.